Welcome back to Pop Kannon. This is episode 22. I'm Jordan.
I am Robert.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Brian, and our podcast should have graduated college.
Should have.
Yeah,
but in this economy,
should have graduated college.
If it weren't for my horse, I wouldn't have spent that extra year in college.
And still paying off student loans when you don't have a degree. Anyway, what are we talking about today, Jordan?
Isn't that strange, guys? How that works?
I'd say it's even stranger, if you will.
You know, but the strangest thing... Wait a minute!
That's right. We're talking all about Season 3 of Stranger Things.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
How fucking great was this, dude?
This, honestly, in my opinion, was their strongest season yet.
100%.
I agree. I thought the first season was pretty goddamn strong. So I would put season 3 at least at the same level, but possibly upon repeat viewings, it might surpass that for me. Because season 1 was so goddamn good to me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I definitely think that if you're ranking them, because we've done that in the past, season 3 is probably at the top. Season 1's a very close second, and season 2's in third, where it should be.
Yes, agreed.
And after season 4, season 2 will still be in fourth, regardless of what happens in season 4.
Well, let's not go crazy, because they could drop the ball big time.
But stranger things have happened.
Rob, I hate to say it, you're fired from the podcast.
I'll file it. All
right, cool. Thank you.
Look, the Duffer Brothers, is that the name? The Duffer Brothers?
Yeah.
They and Netflix have got lightning in a bottle here, and I hope it continues to last for at least one more season.
They said they want to do it. They're probably going to do 4. They may do 5, but
I'm sure it'll be 5.
Like a possibility.
With
it
how
all depends
well
on how fast these kids fucking age.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. They all looked so much older this season.
Definitely.
Yeah. And it stood out to me.
Yeah, let's address that. This season took place 6 months after the second season, and it was quite obvious that they had all grown 2 years, not 6 months. The next season they do has to have a time jump more than 6 months. It's got to be at least like 2 years, because they're all going to be high school aged, not middle school aged. Like,
I heard that's what they were going to do, though.
Good.
They were going to just put them in high school.
Good. Well, and towards the end of their high school, like junior years maybe. Like,
I mean, they're 17-ish now.
Right.
Millie Bobby Brown, I believe, is 15 still.
Well, the kid that plays Lucas is 17. Did you see? I saw.
He's got facial hair.
Yeah.
He's a full-grown man now.
Yeah.
And yet able to scream like a girl when he gets sprayed with hairspray.
It's like all of them are going to be like, we should play Dungeons and Dragons, and Lucas is going to be like, damn, motherfucker. Like, he's full-blown Eddie Murphy, and everybody else is like...
Like it's just Eddie Murphy playing him.
Well, that's part of his new
other kids.
That's part of his new Netflix deal. He has stand-up specials with Netflix, and then he gets the role of Lucas.
Damn, well, you a stupid motherfucker.
Like, well, first of all, it's a wrist rocket.
Keep it together. KIT.
God, what a great fucking season, though.
Yeah, I mean, all the characters, we know what's going on. We have Hawkins down. We're just full-blown right into it, and it does not stop from the first episode.
Really, it doesn't.
I like that they kind of took it away from Hawkins. Like, the creepy, weird research, they took it out of Hawkins like it wasn't actually happening there.
Right.
Which was cool. They just had an underground giant facility.
So I'll say that's one of the things, like I have very few criticisms of the season. That's one of the things, is that it went so over the top with the Russians and their presence in Hawkins or in Indiana. Like, the amount of logistics and material that would have had to gone into building that underground fortress, not just a mall, but an underground goddamn fortress. Like, I'm sorry, that's where they lost me just a little bit. I was like, come on,
wasn't the one entrance under somebody's bed in their house?
Right. Yeah. And it's just, and there were so many fucking Russians. Like, I know that it's, especially back in like pre 9/11, like it probably was kind of easy to get into the country, but I have to feel like somewhere the CIA or the NSA would have been like, hey,
that's an awful lot of Russians,
especially in Indiana.
Yeah.
In the fucking middle of the goddamn country, not on the East Coast or the West Coast,
in the
but
middle
in the middle
of the Cold War,
fucking
no
country.
less.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Reagan has not ordered Gorbachev to tear down the wall.
So that was one of the only things where I was like, but
I do.
But yeah,
I do like that they used the portal and the radiation and the the spike and whatever as their excuse for being there.
At first I felt like it was like they had their own portal to get to Hawkins. Like, until you find out that they're like underneath Hawkins, I was like, oh, maybe there's just like a way that they're traveling through some sort of membrane passage.
Okay.
Oh yeah, like they went through the upside down.
So yeah, like that's what it seemed like for me at first, and then I was like, oh wait, they're just fucking there.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Well, we do have them in Russia,
right?
But they're trying to reopen the portal
At Kamchatka.
that 11 closed in season 2.
Just as a way to invade the U.S., I assume.
Yeah.
Well, we don't. That's the thing. We don't get a reason. Hopefully that gets expanded on next season, because obviously the Russians are going to be a part of it. They have to with where it left off.
It was the 80s. They have to be.
Yeah, right. I think the most likely reason is what was referred to, no, not referred to. What was the reasoning for 11's development and all of the numbered girls? Were they all girls? Development in season 1, that they were being groomed to be spies, basically. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's probably what the reasoning for Russia doing this is as well, was to gain at least some sort of intelligence advantage over the U.S., if not more.
There were a lot of like really good character moments.
Good God,
and
yeah.
I love that they continued doing the thing that most shows wind up doing, where they partner off different characters together to see their dynamic with one another.
Right.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that, as far as it was like, you got Steve and Dustin again.
Yeah, which is just so great.
With the addition of Robin and Erica, which was a great group.
Yeah.
Super entertaining group.
The Scoops Troop.
Yeah, the Scoops Troop.
And then we also got Elle and Max.
Yes.
Which was really cool.
Yes. She like taught her how to be like an 80s girl or a Valley girl, or whatever you want to call it.
It was just kind of cool to see 11 be a kid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. She wasn't treated as like a weirdo or like a pet.
A science experiment.
Yeah.
A number.
And of course, we go back to the dorks.
And then we also got Hopper and Joyce together.
Yeah.
And Murray.
Murray was the goddamn savior for me. That actor, ever since the other guys, that actor, every time I see him, fucking kills me. And he was awesome in season 2, and he was fantastic here. He's got a bit role in a few episodes of The League, and he's the best in those episodes every time. He's such a great actor. A great comedic actor.
We have Jonathan and Nancy having just graduated high school and working at the newspaper.
And thankfully, they don't get a lot of time.
You don't like them?
I like both of the characters, and I like both the actors, but they didn't write a lot for them this season, and I'm okay with that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the post about kids wondering what the Red Room was that Jonathan was in?
Oh God.
Jesus.
I know.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Film doesn't exist, really. Like,
they don't
what was
understand
that
why
red
Jonathan
room?
was screaming when she would open the door to the dark room.
Yeah.
They don't teach that shit anymore. Like
Oh
that.
my god.
There's no film.
And then we all just aged rapidly and turned to dust.
No, I don't think I will.
Yeah, we're old. Yeah, no, that's depressing. Thanks, Andrew.
That's fucking wild,
How-
dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, what is that red room he was in? I know it made the pictures clearer.
The pictures don't exist without the room.
Or the chemicals.
And every time she opened the door, she fucked up the pictures.
God, dude, I remember taking
fuck.
that class in high school.
Uh-huh.
Ugh.
They're like,
Holy
why
shit,
isn't he
dude.
using a Polaroid camera?
God
I don't-
damn it.
I don't understand.
How-
Why is he just using his phone?
Yeah, right.
How great was Billy
Dude,
Oh, dude.
this season?
I wish I knew how to pronounce that actor's first name.
I think it's Docker. I think
Red
it's
Ranger?
Docker Montgomery.
My favorite way to pronounce it is as if I'm like from the South or I'm like some sort
Decray.
of Dacre.
Daker.
Quaker?
I thought you were gonna go with like being from the French Corps, like, oh, it's Decray.
Decray.
You want a little
Well,
sucre
Dacre
in
was
there?
great.
So I know you're like from season 2. You're not supposed to like him. He's an absolutely loathsome character.
Yes.
And at the beginning, I was like, "Oh, he's back." And then right in the first episode, as he's driving to meet presumably
Mrs. Wheeler.
Mom.
presumably to meet Mrs. Wheeler, Mike's mom, to bang her. He's like talking in the car. I'm like, oh, please get hit by something. Please, they're setting this up. And then he hits something. I'm like, yes, he's dead. And then he gets out of the car. I'm like, fuck, he's not dead. And then he gets
Nope.
dragged. Then he gets dragged underneath the steelworks. And I was like, yes, he's gonna die now. And technically he
nope,
did.
he's the big bad.
Well, technically,
Yeah,
technically he did die, as we find out. Like,
Yeah, later on.
But, well, yeah.
No, I loved that they continued the thread of Billy and Mrs. Wheeler from season 2 to season 3, because that's a nice transition between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the storyline for that got bigger and bigger as season 2 progressed. Mm-hmm. So it was a really good way to like remember the thing that happened. Now we're over here. Like it's summertime now. Like I like that.
Yeah.
I really liked that continuation of that storyline,
yeah.
and then just how it branched off into all these other things from Billy and her not meeting up. Everything else that happened as a result with that other girl from the lifeguard station and all that stuff.
Dude, when they like took her parents, that was awesome.
Yeah,
What a great scene.
Oof.
Yeah.
and Dacre was fantastic in that scene.
Decray.
He was so good in that role with like being slick, and he has ulterior motives, but the people he's talking to don't necessarily. Like he was really good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could be like a psychotic serial killer in a film like soon, and it'd be awesome.
There are
Like
rumors.
if they didn't have if they didn't have Zac Efron be
Play-
Ted Bundy,
Yeah.
he could have totally been Ted Bundy.
I was just thinking the same thing.
There are rumors that he's being looked at for Adam Warlock for Guardians 3.
Oh, I'm on board.
Shit.
Yeah.
Totally on board.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, do it. Fucking do it.
Yeah.
There's no reason to
can do
not
that.
do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paint him gold. Who gives a shit? He's awesome. Put him in a CG red costume. They won't do as well, but it'll be great.
They should make him Harry Osborn.
Oh fuck!
That would also be awesome. We got to stop casting we got to let them do their jobs, man. We're doing all the heavy
Dude,
lifting
he would
here.
be a fucking awesome Harry Osborn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want him in everything. Put him in more shit.
I want a sequel to Power Rangers.
You know he's Australian.
Getting a reboot. Really?
He's Australian.
Oh,
That's why his name's weird.
Oh, okay.
those weird Aussies and their names.
Guys, how funny was Alexi?
No, he was great.
Alexi was a great character. Was because he got shot. Spoilers.
Yeah. Which you knew was coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the entire internet is mourning his death.
He became the rightful Barb of this season,
Yeah.
where people want more Alexi and they're sad that they didn't get more Alexi, and they want to bring justice for Alexi. How about
You know
the Terminator knockoff from Russia?
Oh yeah,
Oh, he was awesome.
Russian T-1000.
And he beat the shit out of Hopper like 5 times.
Like 5 times, dude. The best thing about Hopper is that he didn't give up, you know?
Yeah.
He just, every time they were together, he was like, I'm going to fight this guy and get his ass handed to him. And he was still just like, next time, bro.
You can't spell America without Hopper.
Dude,
Wait.
the fucking scene with like the fun house
That was great.
was so well choreographed,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I
well
definitely like-
directed.
That he just took his aggression out on that first Russian dude who was smaller than him and just beat the ever-loving shit out of him.
Yeah, he just kept pounding his face, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At a certain point, he was just like, yeah, I'm going to cave this fucker's head in.
Yeah.
I like that. I like...
David Harbour, he's a big dude. He's like 6'3".
He is a big dude. He's like 6'3", I think.
Yeah.
I really like Hopper's arc. Not necessarily just from this season, but overall.
Yeah,
But
overall,
especially
definitely.
this season.
This
where he
season
takes
really
on-
fleshed him out.
He
Absolutely.
takes on like that mopey dad thing really well. And you just like I felt like you just feel the chemistry with him as her dad and her as his daughter. Mm-hmm. I just feel like right out of the I just felt it. It was so real and organic, and
Hey, 3 inches.
3
Leave that
inches.
door open 3 inches.
it didn't feel forced
No.
or anything. It just felt so real.
I love that he loves Magnum because when I grew up, Magnum was still on like TV, and I loved that show. And he loves Miami Vice too because he had the jacket, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Hopper's out, one of the top 3 characters of that show.
Definitely.
Maybe the top character. I love it, and David Harbour is just fucking fantastic. I certainly hope that where the season ended is not that he's off the show. He's got to be coming back.
So my issue is that the consensus seems to be that he's still alive. And
Yeah.
whenever a show has a consensus like that, they don't give the audience what they want. You know?
I think they could swerve us with the next season and make it seem like someone else is in that chamber.
Well, what was it, Dr. Brenner? Someone thought he could still be in there.
I mean, they could do that, but then they could swerve us at the very end and bring Hopper back.
Well, a lot of people think he might have escaped into the Upside Down.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
And that's why
Yeah.
people are saying, oh, well, he went through the Upside Down, and that's where he got pulled into Russia from the
Yeah.
other side.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why they were like, oh, not the American or something like
Right.
that. Everyone
I-
seems
if-
to think.
if it's not Hopper, I mean, who the fuck could it be? That's the thing. Like,
Yeah, it'll be a huge letdown if it's not Hopper, but if it is, it's such a obvious, you know, like I don't know where I fall on it because I don't want it to be an obvious thing, but at the same time I don't want it to not be him.
Yeah,
you know
anyone
what I mean?
else would be a letdown.
Right. So it's like, give me what I want, but really make it clever.
I understand what you're saying, but I think it would only be a problem if they pick up exactly at that scene. Like,
Right.
they go the American, then the camera goes through the door and you see Hopper in there, and it's like that would be a letdown. No, I think it would,
Yeah.
if they're going to do a time skip, they're going to have Hopper come back, and we'll probably get a flashback episode of what happened in between, but that it's him.
See, that's a flashback episode I wouldn't be against. And this season didn't necessarily do that.
No.
No,
Because I felt like the momentum was so strong throughout.
Yep. It was
Every
because they
episode-
broke it up. So, like, we had the different groups, so it
Yep.
felt stronger.
Every episode ended in a way that you're like, fuck, I gotta see what happens next.
Yeah.
Like, I was so mad that we watched up to episode 6, and then Amanda wanted to stop and watch the other 2 the next day.
yeah,
Because there was such a propulsion of energy
absolutely.
throughout.
Yeah.
That, like, stopping on episode 6, I was like, I really just want to watch the rest of this shit, please.
I've
Just
never
got edged.
I've never watched a I've never watched a series, a season of a series in one day before. And so this came out on July 4th, and I had the day off, like most everyone does. And so that was my day. I just watched all 8 episodes, and it was one of the greatest days of my life. And yes, that is a little sad, but it was awesome. Yeah, it just you like you said, it just kept propelling itself. It was so great.
I loved the look of the Mind Flayer in like the real world practical.
So this is one of my other. This is not a criticism. This is just my sensibility. I did not like it because it was so fucking disgusting. It was one of the grossest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. Just melted people and melted rats, all grouping up.
It was just plasm.
His
into
teeth
this
were people's bones.
Oh God,
that was a nice touch.
Ugh.
It was I thought it was an expertly designed monster.
I feel like every season I forget how graphic this show can actually get.
This was the most graphic the show's ever been.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Watching the people like walk down the stairs to form the Mind Flayer and just fucking melt.
Oh God!
It was gross.
I really, honestly, I did not get actually nauseous, but I could feel it start, like where you feel like the saliva build in the back of your mouth just a tiny bit. I got that a little bit during that scene, and during the scene when they first show the people melting, like it was Gary Busey. Jake Busey. Gary Busey Jr. And then the lifeguard, the girl lifeguard's dad. Like
that scene was awesome.
Where they
amazing. Were like in the morgue and stuff.
In the hospital,
I honestly thought Jonathan or Nancy was going to die right there for a minute.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to kill one of them off.
Yeah, I thought
it probably would have been more impactful if one of them killed off. But then you find out at the end that they were going to do more, and that's why they didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
But, like, just like Jordan said, the design of it, when it's out in, like, the actual street and it's running behind their car, like, it's so big and disgusting.
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
They really went for full-blown terror.
Yeah.
This season, and it worked so well. And it was just like the foil of just like the fun 80s vibe from the mall plus this disgusting monster overbearing on them was so awesome.
I really love that they paid off the end of season 2 when the Mind Flayer, or the bit of the Mind Flayer, was in Will and then was, for lack of a better term, exorcised out of him. And then they just watched it go off, and you're like, what the fuck's happened with that? And then, like, that's immediately what started this season, was once the Russians got the portal open, that little bit of the Mind Flayer got its connection back to the Upside Down and was, boom, back in business.
Yep.
Awesome. It's
great. Like, this, as good as season 1 was, I think this season was the best written.
Yep. It's fair.
They hit their stride.
Yeah, like, everything was so tight. Like, there was nothing that was just a throwaway thing. Everything had a point and a reason, and then got paid off in some way. Whether or not it has to be continued forward or not, everything mattered.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about the musical number?
The Never-Ending Story? You mean the Never-Ending Moment? I thought that was really, really cute, but I thought it just went like maybe a verse too long.
I feel the same way.
So the reference was missed on me because I've seen that movie exactly one time when I was younger and hated it and never watched it again.
Wait, what movie is that?
The Never-Ending Story.
That's the song that Dustin and his girlfriend sing to one another.
Oh, yeah, I've never even seen that film.
It's another quintessential 80s film.
I hated it when I was younger. I remember vividly being like, I don't like this. And never seeing it again.
Was it because of the Swamps of Sadness?
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say.
Honestly, I don't.
They kill the horse. Is it because of the horse?
That's where childhoods go to die.
Yes. Atreyu and what's the horse's name?
Artax.
God damn it. Yeah. Anyway,
but I did like, with Dustin specifically, the Farrah Fawcett hairspray that he had that Steve told him about the season prior.
I didn't even realize that. That's good.
And
that's
like
good.
all of his little robot action figure toy things that were moving that Elle was making move to freak him out.
Yeah.
One of them being a fucking transformer.
and R2D2 was in there.
Yeah.
The Weird Al references, which I can't get enough of, and they should have had more, quite
Made
frankly.
me so happy.
Yeah, like those kids are the perfect demographic in that time frame for Weird Al.
Yeah.
So it makes so much sense that not only did he listen to the song, he had the shirt.
And the dorky teacher.
Yeah, listen to My Bologna.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, this seems like a really fast rendition of My Sharona. And it took me a second to be like, oh my god.
Well, when you're recording it in a bathroom, you've really got to speed it up.
Yeah.
I realized I hadn't heard My Bologna in probably over a decade.
He made that in 1979.
Yeah. The year I was born. Awesome.
That was his first song, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, all the nostalgia was handled so well. Like, with Stranger Things, it always seems like maybe they're going to go a little too hard into that. Like, like they're just on that precipice, like, of going into Captain Marvel territory, but they don't. Like, it's all done really well.
They toe that line so expertly.
I thought the only thing that they kind of maybe went a little heavy-handed with was, like, the new Coke line.
Dude, I lost my shit at the new Coke scene.
Pretty funny.
But it, like,
I thought that was
it
pretty
worked.
Lucas?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
It was
felt
perfect
like a
because
commercial.
kids in that era would have been watching television nonstop and would be able to recite the commercial word for word, which he did.
And be talking about it. They'd
And be
have a
talking about
conversation.
it. And the fact that throughout, before we get to the point where they mention the new Coke, you see everybody drinking it because it's Coke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
But classic Coke didn't exist anymore. It was only new Coke.
I hate McDonald's. But having grown up in the 80s, I knew for a very long time the goddamn Big Mac song because you heard it in the commercials every fucking time.
Yep.
Yeah, no, super amount of product placement. But again, I mean, I don't really. Some people have issues that I really don't when it's just like in the background because that's life. There's
It sets
product
the scene.
placement in our
Exactly.
fucking
It sets the
lives.
moment.
Yeah.
Unless they
Like-
just like pull up in their brand new Subaru and they
Well-
have like that perfect screenshot of it. That I don't know. When it looks like a car commercial, it bothers me. But if it's just something like in the background,
Well,
Right,
Avengers
that's
Avengers does that with Audis all the time.
Yeah.
I know, and it kind of bugs me.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah.
Like when it's like, oh, check out the Avengers version of the Audi. But in Stranger Things, when it's like, oh fuck, the Mr. T cereal.
And there's the Burger King, and you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
with
like
the
all
old
of that
with the old logo
makes sense.
Yeah.
All of that makes sense because it's just it's a period piece.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
And then they took a mall that actually exists in Georgia, and they refaced it to be the Starcourt Mall.
So cool.
And
it
then
was
all
super
of the
80s.
storefronts were furnished with actual items that you could buy from the time.
That's awesome.
Like all of those even storefronts that we didn't see had product in them behind a gate. Just to be like, oh, they're closed right now or whatever. Just in case the camera wanted to go over there and they wanted to see what it looked like on that side of the mall,
Right.
they did it there too.
Yeah.
That's
the
awesome.
biggest fault of the showrunners was to not leave that open to the public
And charge admission.
and charge admission because
Absolutely.
they'd be making a fucking killing on that.
Everybody gets a scrunchie.
I would get all of us together to do a trip to go do that. How great would that
Hell
fucking
yeah.
be?
Hell yeah,
Like-
dude! And like some Baskin Robbins locations changed over to Ships Ahoy
Scoops. Oh, dude.
it Scoops
yeah,
Ahoy?
or Scoops Ahoy,
That's
whatever
awesome.
the fuck it was.
I drove by one not too long ago, and they were selling the USS Butterscotch.
Yes, and all Baskin Robbins locations are selling the USS Butterscotch,
Yeah.
but like some storefronts turned over
To Scoops.
See, I was going to say that
for
that would have
for
been
the release of the show.
that would have been a really good idea, and I'm glad that some of
Yeah.
them did that.
Right. So like if that mall was like, yeah, we're going to just run a Radio Shack for like
course.
2 weeks or whatever. If you
Yeah.
did, like the smaller amount of time that they would have run that, the more money they would have made.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sam Goody. Walden Books.
Walden Books. Yeah, they
God,
they
Walden
flash to a
Books.
bunch of stuff because they're like, remember this mall when you were a kid? Like
Yeah.
that's what they're going
The
for.
thing is, I feel like I remember being a kid and being in a mall that hadn't been renovated since the 80s, and it looked like that.
It looked
Yeah.
dead
Yeah.
like that.
It was
Yeah.
Wheaton Plaza. Wheaton Plaza kind of looked like that.
Marley Station Mall, right up here, used
Yeah.
to be I don't know what it looks like now. I haven't been there in a while, but that used to be like that in the 90s. It looked like it was from the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
always
Wheaton Plaza
remember
was a
like the
crappy mall.
Steamtown Mall near me
Yep.
was
Oh, wow.
always like that.
But they had the arcade. They had Quarters, which is a good arcade.
Yeah, all that stuff is just brilliant work by the showrunners and the set designers and the art decorator. All of those people fucking kill it at their job in this show, and this season gave them the most opportunity for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One scene that I like can't stop thinking about was when they had to cut into Eleven's leg.
Oh my god.
Did not like.
Fucking brutal was that?
No, the worst part was when he reached into her leg.
Oh.
Oh my god! And she's like, "Fuck it, I'll do it myself."
Oh my god.
She's like, I'll think it out. Stop touching me.
Yeah.
Which is just a great metaphor for relationships in general.
Right, exactly.
Oh, you're in me. Get out of me. I don't want this anymore.
I'll think about it. It's
Yes.
fine.
Just
But
let
it
me do
was-
it myself.
It was a good way to weaken 11 because, I mean,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
think about it, she's got powers, so why shouldn't she be able to, like, save everybody? But it
Right.
took a toll on her, and they used it strategically to remove her powers from the equation, so they had to figure it out how else to change it and how to fix things.
Even
So gross.
even the scene leading up to that in Hopper's cabin.
Yeah, the bite.
Yeah.
How fucking intense.
Yeah.
Like all of them back to back, and then Nancy and Jonathan being like the adults trying to stop it. Like just that was terrifying.
Yeah.
I say
Terrifying.
Lucas had some really clutch moments in this season too.
He did.
when it's because it's biting her and he's pulling her away and he just brings the axe out and takes it
Yeah.
out. He had the idea for the fireworks.
It's because of the
the
mustache.
Because of the mustache, dude.
Yeah.
Facial hair powers activate.
Yeah, he saved them at least like 3 times. I don't know. One thing I wanted Dustin to be with the other kids a little more, just because I wanted the group back together. But I mean, I'm still happy. The Scoops Crew, or the Scoops Troop, or Scoops Crew, whatever they
The
called it,
Scoops Troop Group.
was awesome. And then there was Griswold family. Was that the other one? Yeah, anyone?
The what?
Anyway, that was I read reading something that was like, because when they separated into the 3 groups, there was the Eagle's Nest that was Hopper, Joyce, and Murray,
Right.
and then Griswold family was all the kids.
Because
And
they
Oh,
were
yeah,
in, because
in
they
the-
were in
in
the,
the-
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
in the
In the
station
Woody.
wagon.
Got it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yep. I forgot about that.
That's right. They did say that.
Good job,
And I
Andrew.
remember laughing at it now.
Good
Bald
job,
Eagle?
Andrew. Yes,
Thank you.
bald eagle. I hate children.
I'm sorry. What was that? What was that name again? Bald Eagle.
I real quick, I just want to go back to the never-ending story moment. I love how in the background when they show Hopper and Joyce is like bashing her head against the wall while this is going
Yes.
on. That was
Yes.
so fucking great.
She's like, "We're gonna die. This is how we die."
This is how we die, listening to the goddamn never-ending story duet.
How great was it that his girlfriend wound up being real?
Yes, of course.
love
No,
that.
as soon as like I knew that as soon as he said it, like it's a trope that I've got my girlfriend in Canada. That's the
Right.
the joke that most people go to. I knew she had to be real because
Yeah.
there was no way they were going to do that.
They had to pay it
She's
off.
super smart and hotter than Phoebe Cates.
How is that even possible?
Oh god!
Like they like took offense to the fact that like both super smart they could buy because
Yeah.
she went to Camp
Hotter
Nowhere.
than Phoebe Cates. Dude,
Well,
you're over kicking your coverage now.
Like I could buy if she was hotter, but she's definitely not also hotter and smarter. Like there's no way.
And then he told Steve, and Steve was like, "Nice."
Yeah. Steve was his biggest cheerleader.
I love when he first comes back and he goes to Scoops Ahoy and they do their handshake,
Yes.
and it's like they're like sword fighting at one point and they
Lightsabering, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you friends with lots of children?
Yeah, and that's so Robin, best
Yeah.
new character.
Yeah, definitely.
Fucking love her, and the fact that she's the Ethan Hawke Uma Thurman spawn is fascinating to me.
Which I didn't
She
even
is
know
exactly
until
like both of
after
them.
I watched it.
Same.
but it all makes so much sense.
She looked somehow so familiar, but I'd never seen her before.
And the voice, it's like a young Uma. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And
But
then when you
fucking
find
amazing.
out that she is their child, you see both of their faces in her face all at once. Because I had remarked to you guys about how her teeth were fucking perfect,
Yeah.
and I couldn't stop looking at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Brian was like, "Oh, well, she's actually the child of," and I was like, "Holy shit!" Mind blower.
But Steve and Robin, when they were getting like tortured and stuff, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Great scenes.
The whole thing about the whole plan and like deciphering the Russian code and then having to find out what's going on. Like, what a great side quest that
Absolutely.
fucking came around to the end for the main quest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the shit that, like, when people are like, oh, Stranger Things just rehashes shit that everybody likes. No. That was such a great, well-written story.
Yeah.
Yep.
Season 3 is so well... Like, I can't get over how well it was written.
Everything tied back together between
Yeah.
like all four groups. Because you have the
was
kids,
perfectly
you have
done.
Joyce and Hopper, you have Nancy and Jonathan, and you have Steve and Robin.
Joyce and Hopper, their story throughout was hilarious, sad, hilarious, and then sad again.
Yeah.
And frustrating
Like,
a little bit. In a
A
good
little
way.
frustrating
In a
because
good
they
way.
didn't just make out or something, but like the roller coaster of watching the two of them deal with one another, and like when Murray just goes off on them in the car.
Dude, it was
Is
so
one
great.
of the greatest scenes in the season.
Will you two just do it and get it over with? Like, whoa,
And he's
buddy.
like the resident like matchmaker.
Yeah, because he did the
for-
same thing to Nancy and Jonathan.
He did the same thing
Yeah.
to Nancy and Jonathan in season 2.
Oh, God.
So it's just like the idea that he gets these people to like these people come to him and he just sees that their frustration is based out of like, why don't you just bone? Like, it's so funny.
I was just so glad, like, when Hopper said, I know a guy who knows Russian, I had no idea it was going to be Murray. And then they show up and I'm like, yes! Yes, Murray's back in the show!
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
right!
I was really hoping. Yeah, he was so good.
Yeah.
What
And then
is-
every
what is
time
it?
Hopper was like, do you have beer? And he's like, no. Whiskey? No.
Got vodka.
I've got vodka.
That'll
Brett
do.
He's like,
Gilman.
of course you have vodka.
Brett Gilman is his name.
Yes. He's
Oh,
great,
shit.
dude. He's so
And I-
great.
I totally forgot. Carrie Elwes was the mayor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
another... They used Paul Reiser in season 2 and briefly at the end of season 3.
Yeah.
Just taking different guys that you knew from the 80s and putting them into the show in
Yeah.
a role is such a great job on their part. Such a great job.
And you mentioned earlier the Russian, like the main Russian KGB agent or whatever he is, like, you know, obviously that was a Terminator. Like he outright said, like, oh, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then they full on went for how he looked in Terminator 2.
Yeah, and he was unstoppable.
Yeah.
He was terrifying.
How about when they were in the movie theater and like Back to the Future was playing?
Oh, they
And,
were all whacked out.
Dawn of the
on-
Dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Or Day of the Dead.
such great like moments. But even like how Steve and Robin were like drugged
Yeah.
and they had to like lay low and it wasn't working.
Oh my God.
When Dustin leaves the movie theater and says, just watch them.
And of
I'll
course,
be
Erica,
right back.
Erica's a kid, and so she
Right.
didn't.
Yeah, of course she got sucked into the movie that every kid from that era loves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know of anybody from that time frame that doesn't love that movie.
Dude, it's a great movie.
So, like, the idea that he leaves her alone and he's like, all right, just make sure they don't leave. And she just gets sucked into it. And she's like, oh, shit, they're gone. Like, she has no idea.
You're a nerd.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God.
What constitutes nerddom.
Yeah.
Great,
She's good with
great.
numbers.
And you watch My Little Pony.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what do you know about My Little Pony? And he just goes off about everything in My Little Pony.
Yeah. I like that every character got their own moment to shine, which was nice. You know, even if it was just a little bit. Like you said, Lucas, he was saving him. Will he could tell when the thing was coming, when he would grab the back of his neck.
Did Andrew? Were you the one that shared that picture of? It was like, or no, I think it was my sister. It was like Stranger Things season 3 summary, and it was Mike and 11, and it was like, "Do you want a date?" And she says no. And then it's Hopper and Joyce, and it says, "Do you want a date?" And she says no. And then I don't remember the third couple.
It was probably Steve and Robin.
Steve and Robin.
Yep. Oh,
it was
That
it was
had to
Steve
been
and
it.
Robin because he had a black eye, and it said, "Do you want a date?" And it was like no. And then Will was at the very end, and it said, "My spider sense is tingling."
Oh, that's funny.
And I
It
just,
could have also been funnier if he was like, "Do you want to play Dungeons and Dragons?"
Right,
Yeah.
right.
No.
I just want at one point,
Dude,
I
how
was just like,
heartbreaking was that?
please
Oh.
just play D&D with him, please.
Super heartbreaking. But I love that they're dealing with how things go. Like
Yeah.
Dude,
that's
it was so real.
it's
They're
so
at
real.
that age.
People grow apart, friends, your friendships evolve. Some of them don't necessarily end, but they change. Nothing stays the same. That's life.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sucks, but
And
I'm glad they're
unfortunately for
tackling it.
Will,
Yeah.
he missed time
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
when
yeah.
they could have been playing D&D and
Right.
didn't care about girls.
Right.
Well, is it kind of implied that Will is not interested in girls yet? Or
I
that
believe
he's
they-
gay?
They implied in season 1 that he might be gay.
Yeah.
And then Mike Mike says outright,
Yeah.
"Well, you don't like girls."
He
Yeah.
goes.
Where he's
He
like,
goes. I'm sorry you
not
don't
my-
like girls, man. Like, I'm sorry that
Yeah.
you're not into girls like we are.
Right. And I think that could still go. That instance could go either
It
way
could.
on that one. But I definitely think that they're setting up for Will to be gay, which
I
is
think so, too.
totally real and awesome.
Not
Yeah.
that there's anything wrong with that.
No, there's
Right?
nothing wrong with
No, yeah. That's. I don't mean to sound like that.
No,
I just
I'm
like.
joking with you.
Like
No, but
that's
no,
like a
it's-
genuine thing that should be explored.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and my
It's
favorite thing
1 out
about
of 10
it-
guys, right? Like,
And my favorite thing about it is that Mike is his best friend. He doesn't care that that's a thing about him. And he doesn't throw it in his face,
Right.
but just is like, "I'm sorry that you don't get this.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry that our interest in what they do doesn't translate for you in your brain. I'm sorry."
And Mike or Will going back to Fort Byers and just trashing the whole thing. God, that
Rough.
was a
That
tough
was
scene.
heavy.
That was super
Yeah.
heavy.
He tears up the picture of them dressed as the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was just that was a rough scene, man.
Yeah, it was just they gave him an opportunity to have an emotional moment where he's not like, "It's here"
Yeah.
or something.
Right.
Yeah, and he did it. He did it, man. That kid,
Dude, he was great.
Yeah,
They
he was
were
great.
these kids. I don't know how the fuck they did this, but they found like the 5 best child actors of all time and just put them in the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because even isn't her name Mallory?
Who?
Do we call her Maul?
Max?
Max.
Maxine?
That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
I always fucking can't remember her name for the life of me.
Yeah, Max.
She's great.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
She was great at like, oh boys, whatever.
Yeah.
Like the way
Tomboy.
that she played all of that,
yeah,
so good.
And then the
So
emotional
good.
moments when Billy died,
Oh God.
she had to rush over to him.
Or even before he died, but like about halfway through when they trap him in the sauna at the
Yes.
Yes.
the public pool, and she's like, "Hey,
Pleading with
this
him.
is my brother, guys. Like, can we not do this?" Like,
Yeah.
or when she's like when he's coming to get 11 and she's just like pleading with him.
yeah.
And he just slaps the shit out of her.
Yeah,
Oh
like
my
bashes
God.
Mike's face into the wall.
Yeah, he clobbers Mike. That
God,
was
that's
terrible.
fucking rough.
Oh right, they're dorks. They can't fight.
Nerds.
Yeah, pretty much because he's like, remember from like season 2, he was working out and smoking cigarettes,
Yep.
and
Oh,
at
yeah.
the same time, Mr. 80s, like,
Douchebag.
literally Mr. 80s.
Just massive '80s douchebag.
All the kids are friggin' firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, dude.
They know how to get to those emotional depths, and they're just charming.
Yeah.
And at first I wasn't crazy about Erica, and then I realized like she's supposed to be the annoying little sister.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
was fucking great at that. As soon as like, oh yeah, she's killing it. You know?
So who, at this point, 3 seasons deep, who is everybody's favorite character?
Hopper.
Hopper.
Yeah, I'd have to say Hopper.
He's just the most. He's just not that he's the most relatable.
Well,
but just like
I think he's the most. He's the most human. I mean, if you can, like, he's got the most flaws, and like,
right.
he goes from wanting to take Joyce's advice and talk to 11 and Mike, and then Mike
Dude,
Mike
scene.
being the typical little shit, teenage boy that he is, starts fucking that up, and so he's like, all right, your mom called, we're going out to the car now, and then lays down the fucking law. And the next morning, listen to Jim Croce saying, you don't mess with Jim. Like, that was so fucking great. Oh, God.
And the
damn.
way that Mike
I can't hang out.
was
My
legit
grandmother's-
scared of him.
Yeah.
And should be.
Dude, he's fucking huge.
And he owns guns.
I think
And can
he
use
lives
them
in a
legally.
shack. Yeah.
I think if you asked me that question after season 2, my answer would have been Steve.
Okay.
But
Yeah, he's great.
definitely after season 3, Hopper kind of stood out.
Yeah, Steve is still, I think, my favorite, just for like every season he gets his fucking head beat in.
He won a
He
fight this
finally won a
season.
fight. He finally
did.
did.
I
gonna
love
have
the idea that
CTE.
like
Yeah.
I love the idea that like he started off as like this cocky, arrogant asshole, and they let him grow into like a protector.
Yeah.
And now he's like way more of a protector, but now on like a friend level with them.
Yeah.
Like, I really love the idea of Steve's character in general, and like I think he's, as much as I on some level relate to Hopper, I love Steve's character.
Yeah.
Love it.
There's a video. I can't remember if I shared in the chat. If I didn't, I will. And then for anyone listening, I urge you to go find it. I don't know if it's a Netflix video per se or if it's just on YouTube, but it's Steve, it's Robin, and it's Dustin, the actors who played them. They're sitting there and they're talking, basically giving commentary for a scene, a breakdown.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit.
I've seen that. That's great.
It's
I
so
saw that
fucking
pop
great.
up. I didn't get a chance to watch it.
It's so worth watching because I can't remember the actor's name, but Steve is basically just Steve. Like, that's who he is. Like, it's so hilarious seeing him interact with them. But no, the way they broke down the scene, because they broke down when the four of them first get to like the main hub of the Russian fortress, and then he has that fight, and then they see what the Russians are doing with the portal engine thing, portal gun, whatever. Look that up. It's worth watching. It's like maybe 15 minutes tops, maybe 10. I don't know, but it's really good. Love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've watched so much stuff of the cast interacting with one another. The Google questions videos.
Yeah.
With it was Will, 11, and Mike in the one, and then it was Hopper and Joyce in the other. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So funny, and like the chemistry is so real with all of them.
Yeah.
They're all really friends.
They're like legit
Yeah,
friends.
like- It's so amazing.
Did you
Like, especially the Will, Mike, and 11.
Yeah.
That group.
Well, they've
'Cause
literally
it was like-
they've been growing up together. Like,
Yeah. And it's gonna be like when the show is eventually over, whether it's after season 4 or after season 5, it's gonna be really hard for them to move forward and do something else. I think Millie Bobby Brown has no problem.
I think
She's
Finn Wolfhard
She's going
too.
right to Hollywood. She's going to be anchoring her own shit for years.
Well, Finn Wolfhard, he's already been in It, and he's going to be in this new movie called The Goldfinch. So he's already doing stuff
and
too.
he's also in a band that they talked about. I don't know how fucking real that is. Because every kid's like in a band.
Yeah.
Every adult's a DJ, and every kid's in the band.
Right, exactly.
Everyone's got a
the
podcast.
kid that plays. Yeah, that's
Shit! Oh no!
The kid that plays
We're stereotypes.
Will is also in a band, and then he was opening for Mike's band. So like just
That's too much.
the real friendship that they've developed is so cool, and the fact that they were able to add Max to it, and then she just seamlessly
Yeah.
worked into that group.
Yeah.
Yep.
So awesome.
You guys should check out. They had Dustin and Lucas on a Hot Ones thing. Where
Oh
shit,
God,
that's
I've got to
right.
watch that. Yep,
they
I've got to
played
watch
Truth
that.
or Dare. They played, and you could just see that like they're buds. You know, they're like goofing around and stuff, and it's just fun to watch.
Well, I did see. I think Instagram had it where it was like 3 characters were in an elevator, and the door would open, and they'd all start dancing, and then the girl would walk out and be like, "Ugh." I saw like 3 or 4 different combinations of that, and it's hilarious every time.
Dude,
It was like Lucas and Dustin, and then Max was in there, and they were dancing, and she just is like, "Ew, get the fuck away from me!" And then they just keep dancing as the door's shut. It was so funny.
even the kid who plays Dustin, I think Gaten Matazzaro,
Yeah.
he's been in like commercials and shit, so he's going to
Yep.
keep doing stuff. The fact that he's been able to, overcome, but then even they wrote that into his character that he's got that oh God, I can't remember the name of it. It's something dysplasia, something like that.
Yeah,
facial dysplasia or something like that.
It's hard to pronounce, but basically like, and they wrote it into this.
Yeah, he
season
has no
too,
collarbone.
where he doesn't have a collarbone.
CCD.
Yeah, and it's also it's just with bones in general. Like it's a full body thing. It's not just that he has no collarbone, but yeah, like that they wrote that in. Like I thought that was fucking cool, and he's obviously going to keep doing things too.
Well, he's also a singer. Like he's a legit singer.
The Neverending Story. I mean, they actually both of them sounded really good singing a duet. What are all of your favorite scenes?
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Jesus.
You knew that was coming. Come on.
I don't know, dude.
Boo.
One of the mini fight scenes between Hopper and the T-1000, just like
I was gonna say, I think the Funhouse thing,
Yeah.
the Funhouse.
was probably my favorite. Just the way that they shot it and the way that it transpired within. Like Hopper was like, "This is my only option.
Yeah, that was.
This is the only way that I have. This is the only way I have a fighting chance."
It was shot really
is to
well.
go into this thing. Like I really like that scene a lot. But I mean, the stuff with them just being kids in the '80s was awesome. Like,
Yeah.
11 and Max going to the mall and shopping, and her and Lucas and Mike and Will crisscrossing but never seeing one another because the mall's so packed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was actually at the mall the other day. I saw a girl wearing Eleven's jumpsuit, the black one with all
Andrew,
the colors.
Andrew, we know you're lying. There are no malls anymore.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Well, and I've seen on Instagram 100 times, probably because I, for the podcast on Instagram, hashtag Stranger Things 1,000 times,
Yeah.
have seen Hopper's button-up for sale everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was, like, really considering possibly buying it.
Same.
With the Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I was
great.
like, that'd be a cool Halloween costume. I was like, I could
Michelle
shave
wants me
just
to-
down to a mustache.
Michelle wants me to dress up as Hopper for Comic-Con, so I might have to buy that shirt.
Yeah.
Andrew, I think you'd be a great Hopper.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm growing my hair out a little bit.
I saw that in photos that you posted. Interesting.
Thanks. I'm losing all of it.
Jordan, what's your favorite scene?
I think my favorite scene was that whole section of the hospital. And then when Nancy and Jonathan are
Oh
being
my
chased.
Yeah.
That I think
That was intense.
that's my favorite because that was like
fucking intense.
straight horror.
Yeah.
It was scary. There was some intense moment, like when he, of course, when they start fucking melting.
Yeah. And then
She
11
like goes
launches
into
it
the room
through the
and
window.
shuts and locks the door and pushes stuff in front of it, and it just leaks underneath the door
Yeah.
and through the grates on the door on the bottom.
And because she blocked the
Ugh.
door, Jonathan can't get in.
Yeah. So then he's got to fight his way in, but the fucking mind flayer didn't.
Oh God.
That's a great scene.
Yeah.
That's a great fucking scene.
Yeah.
Getting his ass kicked and thrown all over the room.
They all got their asses
Yeah.
kicked.
Yeah.
My favorite scene was pretty much right at the end, when 11 is reading Hopper's letter,
Oh my god.
and I started to bawl.
Oh, dude. I
The
don't know
waterworks flowed.
that if you've watched all 3 seasons of this and that didn't make you even well up, you're inhuman.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, no, that
Because it's so real.
and she acted the shit out of that.
Oh.
And he read that really, like the voiceover for that was
Yeah.
great, and just the way they interspersed it with all of them moving on with
Yeah.
I love that 11 is living with Joyce and Will and Jonathan. I guess they said they're going to Chicago, right? So I love that she's with
Chicago?
them. Yeah, I think that's where they moved to Chicago.
Which isn't that where like her other people were when she went in that one-off episode?
No, let's fucking hope not.
I don't remember. I don't. Maybe.
I'm praying that that's not where they are.
But yeah, so I love that she went with them, but it was that whole thing of making the separations, and that was rough too, to go with his letter, and I thought that was like one of the best scenes of the whole series. It was just fucking great.
And so please,
Yeah.
for your dear old Pop, leave the door open just 3 inches.
I'm getting goosebumps right
Yeah.
now. Yeah, shit. Yeah, there's just the emotional impact
Her-
of the season alone was just
Her
unreal.
ugly cry at the end of that letter.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Perfect.
I just want
She tapped into something that really happened to her and just let it fucking ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say, as much as we did shit on and we continue to shit on season 2, that all that was necessary, because
Yeah.
you see where where they start off this season, where she's able to do the shit that she can do because of what happened during season 2 when she went on that sojourn,
Season 2 wasn't bad.
No,
It was just
season
the
2 wasn't
weakest
bad.
season.
it had
It's literally just the that one-off episode that was entirely done just so she could have the moment where she can do what she does but harder.
right.
Like, all they needed was that moment. I swear to you, if they were to recut season 2 and put that episode as the B story throughout the season, it would be a fucking great season.
Probably, yeah.
But having to sit through a full hour of that after the build-up
Yeah.
of all those episodes to get this episode 6, I think it is, where the demo dogs are coming up out of the hole in the ground, and Hopper has a gun, and it gets really tense and cuts the credits, and then you just go backward in time after that. That's such a miss for me.
Yeah, no, I
in terms
agree.
of just building your season.
The momentum
Such
was
a
halted,
miss.
was absolutely halted. But
Yeah.
it was more than that. Like the way they wrote that crew and everything, that was just really cringy to me. And so hopefully, if Jordan, if you're right, if going to Chicago means that crew is still there, hopefully they write that better. Just hope
Yeah.
they write that better.
Shit.
Yeah.
Because that
Only
was the
only
weakest.
time will
That was the
tell.
weakest writing. Yeah.
I also just want to mention the brawl at the mall.
Oh yeah.
Just the end sequence in general, where they just whether it's the 3 kids in, what was it, JCPenney or Sears, hiding
Gap.
behind the clothes.
Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
guy.
the Gap.
The Gap. That was awesome. Like, just that whole fight sequence with the Mind Flayer to then get to the fireworks, and them Lucas and them making the save for it was just so cool.
Yeah.
You wrap 3 of those together, you got half a stick of dynamite.
What is that? So that reminded me that's got to be a callback to something else, and maybe you guys can think of it. But like, there was a movie where that was done, where like, I don't know if it was The Terminator, when Kyle and Sarah are trying to make their own dynamite to use. That's a callback to something. There was a lot of that in this season, which I don't think is a problem. I think it was awesome that they made callbacks to other big 80s franchises and
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah,
Well, I like the idea that the kids would be referencing stuff that they like.
yeah,
So it's kind of a writing armor for them to just be like, yeah, we could reference anything we want. These kids love pop culture.
right. But yeah, Elle, even at the beginning of that whole scene, she fucking launched a car with her mind at a bunch of Russians. That was awesome.
So yeah, any final thoughts on season 3 of Stranger Things?
A+. Great season. Best one so far, and it just made me want to go back and watch the entire series over again, just
Yeah.
in one long shot.
Yep. And maybe skip episode 7 of season 2.
Just read the wiki on that one.
Rob?
Yeah, I was astounded by how great it was and how much I loved it. It sucks that they're rapidly aging, because like, I want more now, you know?
Yeah.
So it's going to be difficult to try to corral all of them from all of the stuff that they're going to be doing otherwise to get another season out. But, you know, it'll probably be like 2 years or something like that again. So, but like what time of year, like, because all of these have centered around basically seasons. So what's the season they haven't done?
They haven't done
Like
winter.
this was summer. We had fall in season 2.
They haven't done winter yet.
Well, they did Christmas with season 1, basically, right?
Well, that was at the end, kind of.
Right.
But like have one take place just in winter would be cool.
It's one of my favorite shows on TV, whether it's TV, streaming, cable, whatever. Yeah, and I can't wait for more either. Hope they are able to get another season up in a couple years. Hopefully we don't have to wait too much longer.
Yeah, well, I think they announced it for next year. So
Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome.
That is
That would
awesome.
be amazing.
yeah, I love this show, and I can't wait for more. Season 3 definitely the strongest.
Yeah.
All right, so for Pop Cannon, this has been episode 22. I'm Jordan.
I'm Robert.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Brian.
Thanks for listening. And remember, keep that door open 3 inches.
Yeah, for your old hop.
Strawberry. Strawberry or whatever. It
It's all
doesn't
sugar
matter.
water.
It's just sugar on water.
Oh,
So, how was Stranger Things Season 3 for you? Do you think Hopper is really dead? Did you enjoy the emotional growth of all the kids? Did Billy's sacrifice ultimately make you sad? Did you think Dustin was lying about his girlfriend from Camp Nowhere? We want to break down the whole damn thing with you. So just hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, and or Instagram and let's talk about it. Just search and follow Pop Cannon. And don't forget the K. It's for Comrade. Never miss an episode by subscribing and leaving a review if you'd be so kind to us on your favorite podcast platform, be that Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or however else you're listening right now. And if, for some strange reason, one or all of us beguile you in some fashion, you can follow us individually too. I, Robert, am on Twitter and Instagram at Yesball. Jordan is on Twitter and Instagram at JL24FPS. Andrew is on Twitter at flavored_red and Instagram at AndroidSkeleton. And Brian does not have social media to be followed on, which I guess is cool. It's very retro. Speaking of which, we all went to this new mall in town one Saturday night to get Orange Julius's and hang out at the Radio Shack. You know, like cool guys. I turned around for 2 seconds, and Brian straight up disappeared. I couldn't find him anywhere. I've called all over, no one's seen him, and the security footage looks like complete potato vision. I at least hope whoever abducted him is treating him well, and definitely not locking him in a cage in Russia and referring to him only as the American. Because it would totally suck if that wound up being Brian and not anyone else we're all really hoping it'll be. Anyway, that's all for this episode. Stay tuned for more S1E1 episodes, a recap of D23, and maybe an It Chapter 2 review? Spooky season is ahead.